Hello, my name is Julie, and today I'm going to be giving you my summer TBR, my quarter 3 TBR, everything I'm going to be planning on reading from July to September. Most of the books that I know for sure I'm going to be reading right now, I'm going to be reading for different challenges. I know basically everything I'm going to be reading in July. I don't know everything that I'm going to be reading in August and September. The further the we go out, the less I know what I'm doing. But I do love planning stuff ahead of time, so I thought I'd let you in on some of my reading plans. Also, this video probably will be coming out after Summerween, which I have daily mini vlogged on Shorts and on Instagram Reels. A lot of the books that I will be reading for Summerween are going to be in this, so you probably already know that I've read them. Oh well. First up, let's talk about what I'm going to be reading for different challenges. I have 3 challenges that I am actively working on, 1 per month. The first of those is the Buzzword Challenge, hosted by Books and Lala. You have to fit a certain word into a book title once a month. The buzzword for July is punctuation marks in the title, so I will be reading Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This was one of the books for my 12-12-12 challenge, where 12 of my mutuals each picked a book for me to read over the course of 12 months. I have read several T. Kingfisher before, and this is, I don't think it's inspired by a specific fairy tale, but it is supposed to be fairy tale adjacent. And this is about our main character, Mara, who is a princess who then went away to a nunnery. She finds out that her sisters have been abused by the prince, and she is having to collect a bunch of different weird people together to try to take down the prince. There's a skeleton dog on the end pages. The buzzword for August is the word with, which unexpectedly was a nightmare to find any books for, partially because a lot of search engines negate words such as with. So when you're trying to search on Goodreads for books that have with in the title, or you're even trying to search in the books that you've shelved, it won't let you. So you have to, Control F, do it the hard way. All the books that I had on my actual Goodreads TBR that had with in the title, almost all of them I had read already. There were very few books, if any, that I had on my TBR that had with in the title. So I looked at what was at my library, and I picked out a book that has fantastic reviews, and that is The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby Dare, I believe that's how that's pronounced. I don't know for sure. This is about a 14-year-old girl who ends up getting sold as an old man's third wife, and then she gets sold into servitude, and there is a mysterious disappearance of the woman before her. But all the main character wants is an education. So I've heard that this is very much about women's empowerment and feminism, but I think it's going to be a little bit more on the harder hitting side, less the girl power side. I found that this was available on audiobook from my library, and it is one of the tags on Goodreads for this book is audiobook, so that means people have listened to this on audiobook enough that it's gone up into the genres, so that means it's probably going to be pretty good. Excited. And September's buzzword is to read a book that has an event in the title. Basically, the only book that I physically own that has that is The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. I have read Lucy Foley's 2 other thriller novels. I had a lot of fun with The Paris Apartment. I didn't want to put it down. I picked up the guest list and I thought it was boring. I saw it coming from the very beginning. I bought this book before reading the guest list, and I bought it basically full price, and I regretted it immediately. And this is about the opening of a luxury resort that is built on top of old secrets in an ancient forest. And so we're following 4 different characters who all have different agendas. There's going to be a murder that takes place. This book actually has pretty bad reviews, but I own it. I have a conspiracy theory that the first Lucy Foley book you read, you love, and then you don't like her other ones, because I think they might be too similar in concept. We'll see if she beats my conspiracy allegations. Then the second challenge is the Buzz Cover Challenge, also hosted by Books and Lala. It's basically the same challenge, just stuff on the cover. But for July, the challenge is to do a book with technology on the cover, so anything that would need to get charged or is electronic. So I picked Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. This is inside of a spaceship, and there's a person in a space suit. I would argue that's technology. I read S.A. Barnes' first book, Dead Silence, last year on recommendation from my friend. We both absolutely loved it. This takes place in the far future where humanity is doing a lot of exploring of other planets. And our main character is a psychologist, and she's also a descendant of this very famous and very rich family in charge of a bunch of technology and corporations. She is not someone that they like. She's not a powerful figure in this family. And she has been studying this disease or condition that that makes people very violent. She gets sent on a mission to try to make sure that a team does not have this condition after one of their crew members dies, but the crew doesn't really like her. I read the other one of her books on audio, so we'll see how I like this physically. Then for August, we have Modes of Transportation on the cover, and I am going to be reading The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This is a cozy fantasy that came out last year, and on the cover, we of course have a little traveling cart, and this is about a character who is able to give you information about the future, but only if they are fairly inconsequential. These two people end up coming up to her and saying that a child that they know is missing, and she is having to help them in some way. Genuinely, this was a cover buy for me. I got such a good vibe off of it, and it's also by a Julie. I really want to read more cozy fantasy. I think the vibes could be immaculate. And for September, the Buzz Cover Challenge is to read a book with foliage on the cover. So I'm already reading The Midnight Feast that month. There's a little bit of like leaves in the background. And the last challenge I'm doing is page count on my bingo boards that I do every month on Instagram. I have a challenge that I do for that the entire year. And this year we are counting down to 2026 with page counts. So in July, we're reading a book that's from 350 to 375 pages. And for that right now, I'm planning on reading The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. This is about Lucretia de Medici, and her older sister was supposed to be married off to this man, but she ends up dying before the wedding can happen. So Lucretia is having to step in, even though she's very young and doesn't know anything about this court that she's going to be married into. And she doesn't really trust the husband that she's been married to. I love the way that Maggie O'Farrell brought the characters in Hamnet to life. Just made me feel so much for them in a very short amount of time. So I'm excited to read this one, especially because I kind of don't know a lot about this time in history versus me knowing about Shakespeare. Then for 325 to 350 pages, I am going to be reading The Teller of Small Fortunes yet again. That'll be in the same month. And then to read a book from 300 to 325 pages in September, I will be reading James by Percival Everett. This just won, I believe, the National Book Award and the Pulitzer. And also, I got a signed copy somehow. I don't really know how that happened. This is about James, or you might better know him as Jim from Huck Finn. This is retelling that story from James's point of view and giving him more agency, giving him more of a drive and fleshing out his character. As soon as I found out that this book was reimagining Huck Finn, a book that like I'm supposed to love and everything, but like as a teenager when I was reading it at school, like I understood it was monumental for its time, but like as a modern reader, you know, I wanted more from it. This screamed at me. So I super excited to get to this one. Now we're moving on away from my challenges. I'll talk about the books that I want to read for vlogs. I try to do one themed vlog a month. Right now, I have not decided what my third vlog for this quarter is going to be, but I have picked the other two. For one of those, I'm going to be reading Devil House by John Darnielle. Some of you might know as the lead singer of the Mountain Goats. But this is about our main character who writes true crime, and his first book was a huge success, but it was really personal to him because it happened in his hometown. And he has tried to write other things, they haven't been that successful. And somebody on his publishing team points out that there is a house where a double homicide happened that is up for sale, and he could just move into that house. And so he does, and he is writing a new book while living in this house. And the other book I'm planning on reading for a vlog is Sky Full of Elements by Sibo Campbell. This is a speculative fiction about a world in which all of the white people one morning all go walk into the nearest body of water and drown. But it is following a father and daughter who are mostly estranged from each other. The daughter is mixed race, the father is black. And so the daughter's entire family that she has grown up around has just died. They are having to come together for the first time and kind of navigate this new world. Books that feel like this scream at me that I'm really going to enjoy them. Two of my favorite booktubers, Bria and Kayla, have freaking loved this book, so I think I'm also going to love it. Then I have some books from my year-long challenges that I want to get done. So one of those I'm also reading for Summerween, and that is going to be Carrie by Stephen King. This is a bind-up of the first 3 Stephen King novels, so it's Carrie, The Shining in Salem's Lot, and I have read The Shining in Salem's Lot, and now I'm going to read his first ever book. I feel like everyone knows what Carrie is about, but this is about a teenage girl who is bullied relentlessly, and she comes from a very controlling, abusive, extremely religious household. And from all this abuse, and also at the same time that puberty hits her, she develops telekinetic powers and is going to get revenge on people. I know a good amount of this from just kind of pop culture. I've not actually seen the movie, but I've seen several clips of it and everything. And this has been taking up too much room on my TBR shelf, as you can imagine, so I'm ready to get it out of here. I put up a poll on my Instagram that was, which of these categories should I read a book from? Very, very tight poll, but the one that ended up winning was A Beloved Finale. So I'm going to be reading The Winners by Frederick Bachman. This is the last book in the Beartown series. It is significantly longer than the other two. I think it's as long as the other two combined. And this is about a small Swedish town that is very dependent on its junior league hockey team to get money for the town. Something happens in the first book that relates to the team that divides the entire community about how they want to approach it and how it's going to affect the team. Loved book one, thought book two was okay, but I would love to finish up the series like I have been trying to do all this year. I'd also like to read Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. This is coming out in August, and this is about two students at Oxford who are rivals, who their academic advisor gets sent to hell, and so they are having to go to hell to save him. I have heard really not great things about this book on all the arcs and everything. Like, I think that this is on track to be R.F. Kuang's lowest rated book so far, but I have appreciated or extremely enjoyed every single one of her books so far. I don't know, maybe I'll be in the unpopular opinion. And just some random other books that I want to read. I did get an arc of Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz. I have read every single one of their fiction books. This is a very short, I mean the print's huge, cozy sci-fi novella about a group of robots who have been deactivated in a forgotten ghost kitchen, and they are wanting to make food for the humans that have survived this war. Like, this is giving me Becky Chambers vibes, and I just think it's going to be a really cute, fun time while having the unique commentary and sci-fi ideas that Annalee Newitz puts into all of their books. I have a bunch of sequels that I'd like to get through this quarter, including I currently have A Drop of Corruption out from the library. This is the second book to The Tainted Cup, and it is a fantasy mystery series, emphasis on the mystery. This is a world in which people can edit their own bodies and give themselves essentially like superpowers by putting these biological grafts on themselves that are flavored very like plant and algae and bacteria type stuff. And in this book, a treasury officer has disappeared into thin air, vanishing from a room within a heavily guarded tower, its doors and windows locked from the inside. I thought the first book in this was okay. This book is getting as good of reviews as that one, but I thought I would just give this one another shot to see if this series is going to be for me. Another sequel I'm planning on reading is Abaddon's Gate by James S.A. Corey. This is the third book in The Expanse. I have really enjoyed this series. It's kind of the only space opera thing that I have going on right now, and I love this flavor of stuff. I love how big this world feels. It takes place over the entire solar system, and we're following this ragtag spaceship group as they are trying to survive amidst interplanetary conflict. It's been a while since I read book one. I've been collecting this 10th anniversary editions that I think are absolutely gorgeous. Oh, it's bright orange inside. Jim Holden and his crew are going to be part of a vast flotilla of scientific and military ships going to examine an artifact. I've really enjoyed this series, and I think if you're a fantasy fan, you should definitely pick this one up. I also have Blood of Elves by Andrzej Sapkowski on hold. This is it's so complicated. This is the third book in the Witcher series, but it's technically the first book. The first two books in this series are short story collections, and the third one is the first one that is a full-length novel. I've heard a lot of people tell me of all of the series that I'm in the middle of that this is the one I'm most likely to DNF, so I thought I'd switch back to the audiobook, which is the way I consume the one that I enjoyed, so I can have the best chance of liking it. And I just wanted to try out what a full-length novel would feel like instead of a short story collection to give this series a real shot. But this series is about our main character, Geralt of Rivia, who is a witcher, who is a genetically modified person who has been made specifically to kill monsters, and he is one of the very few left alive. It's very dark fairy tale vibe. And a book that I do have on hold at the library right now is To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monocle Black Goose. This is an indigenous inspired fantasy series about dragon riders. My mic freaking died, so I had to pause and I put my books away. Where did I leave off? Okay, our main character is an indigenous young woman, and she is sent to a dragon rider academy that is actually run by the people who have colonized her people. And she is determined to stay herself while she is at this academy. I haven't heard that many people talking about it, but the reviews that I have seen have been very good. And I just found out this is a series. Oh no, this is the first in a series? Fuck. Is it like a companion series? Which is good because I'd rather it be a series because I'd rather the story be long, but it's bad because I don't want to increase the number of series that I'm reading. Oops. And the last thing I have here is I have 2 categories of books that I'd like to read something from, and if you have an opinion on which one you'd like me to read, I'd love to hear it. First up, I'm trying to get through the romance that I actually own because I felt like I had more romance that I was buying than I was reading. That's not really true. I was reading about the same romance as I was getting, but I wasn't reading the romance that I owned. So I just want to get through these because it's not a genre that often works for me. I have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is about best friends who fall in love. One of them breaks the other one's heart and they are having a second chance at it later in life. We've got Practice Makes Perfect, which is about a florist. She's been told she's boring by her dates, so she starts fake dating this bodyguard. I don't think I'm actually going to like this that much because I read a different Sarah Adams book and didn't love it, but I bought this and then read that one because I'm dumb. The 7-Year Slip is very popular, especially with Emily Henry fans, and this is about a woman who her apartment has a time slip where the guy who lived there 7 years ago keeps appearing and they fall in love. And I just got out on a limb, so I wasn't planning on reading this soon, but July is Disability Pride Month, so maybe that might be an excuse to shove this in at the end of the month if I needed to. But this is about 2 characters who both have disabilities, and they end up hooking up at a party, and they get pregnant, and they decide to raise the baby together as friends, but of course they're gonna fall in love. And the other category I have is the classics and modern classics that have been clogging up my paperback shelf because I haven't been reading them. I have The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. This is his first novel, and it's about the angst of the post-World War I generation. I also have Lolita by Nabokov, which another really pretty cover. This is going to be a very difficult read if I do try to read it, but it is about a man named Humbert Humbert who has fallen in love with this preteen girl. It is a very difficult book that is seeing through the eyes of a predator. There is a 50-50 shot that this is going to be a book that I can get something out of, or one that the subject matter is too much for me and I don't want to read it. And I also have a proper classic. I still have a sticker on it, but The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. 1921, so that's on the border of whether you consider it a modern classic or not. But this is about like the golden age of New York. And this is about a person who is supposed to marry one person and then they fall in love with someone who is not good for them, which is the plot of a lot of classics that have to do with romance. But do any of these scream that I'm gonna like them? Let me know. Oh, and I did completely forget. I told myself I was going to reread Pride and Prejudice this year. I don't know that's going to happen, but if it happens, it's probably gonna happen this quarter. So Pride and Prejudice is one of my favorite books of all time. I really love Jane Austen, and Pride and Prejudice is my favorite. It was the first one I read. I read it when I was in 7th grade, and while I have returned to certain scenes and I have seen the adaptations a million times, I have never read the book in its entirety again. I don't really reread books. I usually only reread one book a year. If I manage to grab one of my copies from the other places that I have books, I might try reading like a chapter a day. That was a lot of books. I might cut some out, but those are all the books that I'm hoping to read in Q3. So let me know, what are you planning on reading up next? I'd love to know if any of these seem like I'd really enjoy them. Let me know, because I want to know what I need to be looking forward to, or maybe what I should get off of my TBR. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more of my videos, I'd love it if you subscribe. And if you want to hit the bell, you can find out when my videos are coming out. And if you watch them earlier, it tells the algorithm to push my videos to other people. So it would really help me out. And if you'd like to find me anywhere else or use the same bookish services as me, you can find me at the links in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.